This is Judd Lorman, aka Lieutenant Commander Eric Blackburn on SEAL Team from Paramount Plus. And right now, you're listening to the Custom Figure Podcast.
Are you ready?
Bow to the customizers.
Break it down!
It's me, it's JPD. Welcome everyone to an episode I've been looking forward to for a long time. It is episode 20, and we are here in both audio and video format. Episode 40, we're going to do in 3D, guys. It's going to be awesome. All right,
yeah.
I am joined by not my guests, but my special co-hosts, plural.
First being welcome back for the third time, I believe. So I must have done something right the first two.
Yeah.
I'm CMW Toys, Callum Cal, most people know me as. Thank you very much, Joe. Obviously, I love being on here and just chatting toys, and look forward to not completing a single story without going on about 100 different tangents.
Yep. And our second co-host,
I'm the Mad Reaper. Thank you again for the invite. I mean, I'm honored.
Course,
I'm stoked to talk customs. I love this. So thank you. And congrats. Congrats,
Thank you, buddy. I can't believe it. I have said numerous times I didn't think I would make it past episode 5. So,
it is tough. I mean,
it's really tough. And I got to be honest, like I've been psyched about this. But like a couple other things have come up that I'm like equally as psyched about the next couple episodes. I am recording episode 21 later this week, and I'm gonna say it now. I'm gonna be with Luke from Luke's Toy Store, the Minimates guy. I don't know if you guys
that's cool.
Heard that episode. We're gonna be reviewing some stuff from San Diego Comic-Con, given the new AEW Minimates that are hopefully going to be revealed. If they're not revealed, it's going to take a lot of steam out of our sales for this episode.
Are they releasing this? Because I remember Minimates from Marvel, so I've got the Deadpool ones and a couple. Are they releasing the little like 2-inch ones? Are they actually making wrestling versions?
Yeah, so they said there's going to be a couple 4-packs revealed, and they're most likely going to go into 2-packs as well with the line. And they even teased, I don't think we're going to see this, but they even teased a wrestling ring for the Minimates, which is awesome because I've got like a little shelf of WWF and WCW custom Minimates that I've done. So I've always wanted a ring for them, So I toyed around with making one, but
That would be the type of thing that when you were a kid, you would have got like a Lego base and started building little squares up the post and just put rubber bands around. The posts, and that would have been all you needed now. But now you're in your 30s, it has to be exact replicas scaled down.
I can't use rubber bands. It needs to be a perfect thread count on the ropes, everything like that. So
you know what might fit them on a tangent already. It may be a smidgen too big, but do you remember the old Build and Brawl ring?
I was just thinking of that, dude. Looking at your behind,
I've got one up there somewhere, right? And I think the posts might be a bit too big, but you could potentially like shave down the bottom and drop them down a bit.
That's true. I thought you were gonna say I think you, me, and Jordan, I think actually talked about those 6-packs they used to make.
Jack's ones.
That would probably be pretty close to the perfect size. So if they don't make one through Diamond Select, I'm probably gonna get one of those. And I think I'll have that.
That'd be cool. If you can find one that's still got all the pieces, because that's the thing, right? I've kicked the tire on those on eBay. Like I end up sitting there scrolling through eBay, looking at stuff that I've no room to collect. There'll be no room for that, but I want it because of the nostalgia, right? And that's one of those ones that always float over, but they're never quite complete. It's always missing a cage piece or missing. And I've always said to myself, the only way I'm pulling the trigger on one of those if I get the complete ring barriers, because that's childhood, right? Like those things were the best. You could pick them up, you could take them anywhere. My mom, on speaking of going off on tangents here, the years that those were coming out, it was like they released like one a year
for a couple years or something like that, I want to say. And I want to say it was around the holidays when they did it. So my mom, the first year one came out, she got me one for Christmas. And I was the type of kid that woke up at like 2 a.m., you know, ready to open my presents. And she would leave it with my stocking. She would leave one present and she would leave this with it, because she knew it would keep me entertained, so I wouldn't have to go wake them up until, you know, at least 5 a.m. or something like that. So those definitely hold a special place in my heart for me. I love those things.
Not to steal your thunder on your next episode, but seeing as San Diego Comic-Con is coming up, I mean, a mini line of either 2.5 inch or like the 3.75 inch figures. If Mattel was to drop a decent line like that, like I've been crying out since I got those Build and Brawls. I've been looking at, like, they're amazing, right? They're essentially an Elite, but like that small and like. And could you imagine, because they're basically like shrunk down Deluxe Aggression figures, right? And Deluxe Aggressions were, like, in my opinion, horrible with just the way that, like, the muscles, you know. And it's like the articulation's great, everything like that is great. Just I'm sorry, but like, I know you're a Rey Mysterio fan, Cal. Rey never had 42-inch python, you know. So I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I mean, look, right, when you kind of grew up with the Jax era, you had to suspend your belief pretty much at every point of collectibles.
Absolutely.
But I guess my point is, like you said, imagine having Elites that look pretty realistic. Imagine having those as those smaller figures. That would be pretty awesome.
There's no reason why you couldn't.
No, really.
Is anyone doing a line like that at the moment? Is there any like I know Hasbro do the Star Wars ones, but they're 5 points, right? Is there anyone who's doing like ultra?
Well, actually, Hasbro is doing the ones with more articulation now. I think it's not the vintage series, but I can't keep them all straight. But I got a Boba Fett that's pretty movable, you know.
What's the price point on those?
I want to say $19.99.
Oh, I know they haven't gotten cheaper, like, because G.I. Joe re-released those too, and it's like they're not cheaper now. It's like, man,
I was expecting maybe you'd say like $10 to $15. Like, obviously being here in the UK, right? Our stuff similar price, but if it's like $20 there, it's £20 here, right? So there's not really a good price point toy right now, that 10 to 15. I think Elites are now like 23. Like, if you could get that kind of, if you could fit a 3.75 figure in between the 10 to 15, it's better than an Elite. You're getting more articulation. And I personally would be fully in. But then again, it's not all about me, right? Everyone thinks it goes, I want this.
I mean, it's better than a basic too. I mean, the basic 100%. Is supposed to fill that price point, but since they keep like watering it down, it's like, why are you guys even trying to mimic the same scale? Just go with a different scale.
Yeah, because the basics now I think are up to $12.
Yeah, and they're getting worse.
Yeah, they're getting worse. Broski Cardona said it's like a 99-cent figure, so how can they charge that? And I was like, yeah, it kind of is now. The head scan is like worth
best piece,
I guess.
You're right.
I have basics splattered through my collection. I'm a Rey Mysterio whore, as we know, so I'll pick up any and everything. Even that one recently where they just did the black around the eyes, like thing, rather than as soon as I saw that in the shop, I was still like, yeah.
Well, if you're a completionist, you need it. I get it.
You're right. But I'd like it to be a bit better. But there is still the odd one and two. Like, I got the Baron Corbin in the suit because that makes a good.
Too. Yeah.
Yeah, to put the Vince head on it.
Yeah. I'm planning on it. Yeah, I got it. I got a couple of those guys. I got a couple of that's a.
I haven't popped the Vince head on yet, but I'm ready for it.
Even though it's got reduced articulation, it like fits with the suit. It actually makes it look cool. You know.
Yeah.
I mean, that suit doesn't need all that articulation. Like, you don't need a thigh swivel on a suit. I don't think.
No. And like House 14 did the Regal with that basic suit body. One of I can't remember
MVPs, I think.
MVPs. Okay, yeah. And I mean, that looks great. And I got a bunch of those figures cheap off Ringside to make. I made the same Regal. I didn't repaint it. I was lazy. I was like, nah. A suit's a suit.
Yeah, I got like 6 of these guys with the little
those. I'm sorry, that's the one I used for William Regal.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Those 2 guys,
not MVP. But yeah, those are good.
I mean, the suit basics are worth it.
Yeah.
How do you feel about you say about $10 to $12 for a basic, right? Do you happily drop that for just the head?
If it's like a Rey Mysterio, if it's like someone that I'm gonna like actually use as a head, like an extra head, then I look at it as like a $10 extra head. But like I also try to look at the value of like Elias. So like I love, you guys have seen like some of my arenas. Like I love guys in jeans too, just to throw them like throw a random hit on them and then put them in the crowd. So like these those Batmans, like from the new Batman movie, those McFarlane guys with the like drifter suit, like his street uniform. Those are like $5.99. So I was like, I got 4 of those guys. I'm gonna throw them in the crowd, and it's like an extra body, So, I mean, I also look at it from like I don't mind putting a basic in the crowd because they stand up easier, and it's like whatever.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that at all. I think that's fine. I do try to look for the deals on the basics. Same. I didn't pull the trigger on that Corbin. I just got it. That's why it doesn't even have the head on it yet. I mean, I had time to pop the head off. Whatever. But I didn't pull the trigger until Ringside had their sale for that. So it's, I try to get, but I also I'm working on a swerve here, and I use the head from the basic on that. And
that's a good hit. That's actually a good basic though. The swerve basics.
It's not bad. It's not bad. Pretty good. I have the body over here too, just to use for tattoo reference, and everything.
Absolutely.
So
here's the thing, right, with basics, and this is why I'm quite content. If the basic's good, I'll buy it, right?
Right.
Because at the end of the day, if you look behind me, they're pretty much all in the old museum pose, right?
Yeah.
By the time I've taken it out and gone, this is really cool, I like this, and put it on the shelf.
Yeah.
I don't care about no thigh swivel and stuff.
That's true. It's true.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
So like, but the thing I do. We had the decent basics, right? The early basics were actually
those are great figures, honestly.
They were essentially Ruthless Aggression figures, but rescaled, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I miss those, but we can't go back to the good old days, can we?
Yeah. So when Mattel first took over, I actually preferred basics over elites because I was never really into the deluxe aggression ones. Like I was kind of shitting on them earlier. Sorry, Kel. And I remember Punk came out, and I did really want the Punk, so I bought the Punk, and I remember like playing around with it, and I was like, nah, I still like basics better. They just have too much movement, and it took, obviously now I favor elites, and I've since converted, but for a while I was like, oh sweet, now we're getting a Punk basic like a couple series in, and then I went and I got that one right away, and that was like my Punk that was on my shelf, so
I didn't actually go and get any of the Mattel figures when they first came out. I remember at that point in time I'd had a few of the deluxe aggressions. I think I bought a couple. I wasn't really like fully engrossed in buying figures anymore. And I remember when they turned over, I was like, nah, it's not really for me. And then it was not until quite late into Mattel's run that I bought my first figure, and it was the signature series Rey Mysterio, the black with the orange
that's a great one.
Yeah, and it was in just like, it was in our equivalent of like a Walmart. It was in Tesco's. I just saw it and thought, oh cool, Rey Mysterio, I like Rey Mysterio. I still didn't really kind of fall back into collecting figures fully until like 3 years ago, and even then, like, I picked up the odd elite, and I was just like, these are the best figures that we've ever had. From that point on, really.
It's true. I mean, but the basics do have nice torso sculpts. Like, there's something they said like about like the normal like chunkiness that like looks more realistic than like the Daniel Bryan torso on the elites. Like that looks, it doesn't really look good. I mean, I don't think,
I've never seen a real person with that ab crunch before.
That's why that Dean Malenko is magnificent though. Like literally that's like that barrel chested torso is like one of the better torsos that Mattel's made.
Wait, so hold on. Why don't we do this? Because we are doing the whole podcast here. Let's go right in to customs of the week.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to shout,
no,
but
that's
it's
okay.
just it was on
Because
point. I was like,
I'm not used to doing full disclosure for everybody listening. I usually do the interview and then I'll record the intro afterwards. But I kind of just remembered when you said that. I was like, let's do customs of the week, and then we will dive right into our nerdy conversation that's going to be the highlight of everybody's day.
Here we go.
One of my picks for customs of the week was this guy CMW Toys. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of him. He did he did a Dean Malenko.
It's amazing.
There it is.
It's so clean,
so good.
I mean, the right torso, like that's what they should have made him with, and that's why it's so beautiful. Like,
it's the simple ones, right? Like, this is the thing. So we always spoke, Joe, but Reaper, I'm a WCW fan. I grew up watching WCW. That was kind of my childhood, and I don't have as much time to make customs for myself anymore. So I kind of pick and choose the ones that I want to spend time with. And it got to a point I knew I needed to make a Dean Malenko. I just made a Chris Jericho before. It was, cruiserweights was always what I enjoyed. He was a natural rival of Rey Mysterio. And it was one of those ones I'd look at, like you say, and I always looked at it, I was like, man, this is a shit figure. Like, I get it, right? He's not like the most sort of jazzy person, but at least kind of put a bit of effort in. I mean, the head in a joke, it didn't even have any stubble on it, right? I mean, you look at the Jax one, and the Jax head looks great. They at least tried to put some effort into it. So
it's just too bad that it's like huge.
It's
big.
And so it's just one of those ones that I thought, I've had the decals set in my bottomless decal bag. I've got a bag like of when I get bored and I don't have a project to do, I'll just pull something out of there and see. And I thought, right, this one will be a quick one. And I just ended up doing more and more and more on it. And by the time it finished, I looked at it and I was like, man, I'm actually for a customer and a wrestler, I'm not that excited about. It was one of those ones that I was man, it probably come out one of the best bits of work I've done in A. And it's always really how it happens, right? I mean,
it is.
Chat to Mac Decals quite a bit, and I send him some pictures of work when we're doing bits, and he looked at the head. He was like, "What head is that?" I was like, "Man, that's just the Mattel head." He's like, "It can't be," and it just shows you, right, how many good sculpts. I'm not a fantastic painter. I get by, right, but there is sculpts.
You're underselling yourself.
Yeah. Thank you. Just good angles, man. Like,
sure.
But do you know what I mean? Like, that just shows you like a little bit of effort. If they'd have gone to add a bit of shading, if they'd just picked the right torso, little things like glossing of a boots, man. Like, it's a little detail, but when you have the figure in your hand, like, those are the details that combine to make great customs, right? They don't need to have fantastic sculpting and intricate outfits and stuff. I mean, this was like a torso swap and then a paint and 4 decals, right? So it's not.
Did you change the legs too?
Or no. So I kind of got a bit lazy, and I was trying to crack the actual Malenko pelvis off. I don't know if you guys ever do this, right? I've got a box full of bits around me, and often I find myself just cracking for a pelvis or something like that, even though if I just dug through my box, I've probably got it. So I was actually battling with a torso one day, and I just realized the Malenko legs were on a ball joint. So I was like, man, why didn't I just take
yeah.
So all that's different on this is the torso, and it's just little things like if for example you didn't take that little bit further up on the waist, it would make him look taller, because the legs are short and the torso is long. So it's how you kind of trick the eye into making it look like he's more correct. It's just little things like that for me make it. And I absolutely love this figure. Like I say, like, I was thinking he was going to go in the back of the display, and I was like, well, Vampiro, you can go back there. And I was like,
yeah, there you go.
So thank you. Like, sorry to talk on and stuff, but I thought I'd just try and
that's what you're
it's beautiful. It's beautiful. It's spot on. I mean, really, that's the thing, is that a lot of wrestlers do wear their pants a little higher too, and like it definitely adds to the proportions of how like beefy they look. I think it's perfect. I mean,
I was
little trade secret. It keeps your muffin top in. That's why I did it too.
The thing is, right, so I try and do an attire for me that represents the time I kind of watched them. And in my head, the decals in my bag were the blue ones with the yellow outline. And I was so excited. I was like, yeah, that's Dean Malenko for me when I was a kid. And I got them out and I looked and I was like, these weren't the ones I have. But again, man, I was too lazy. I have a decal printer right here, but rather than just print out the ones I wanted, like, I'd rather just make use of the ones I got. But no, thank you very much. Let's move on to the next custom.
I have a couple others, but I want to open the floor. Like, anything you guys want to bring up that you've seen recently on Instagram or anywhere on social media?
I'm going to obviously take the one that I told you about earlier. I always the NWF. I think that's his. I know by Craig.
Craig,
yeah. He makes Adam Cole's like they're going out of fashion. A joke that for every Rey Mysterio I make, he makes an Adam Cole, and but for me, Adam Cole is pretty standard, right? You know, tights, black normally or dark colors. That he made that Halo one that was unreal, and then he let on the. I think it was after the AEW Owen Hart tournament. I sent him that picture of the pink guitar. I was like, you have to of all the attires to do. And then he slowly was talking to me as it went through, and it went through the evolution. And as it got closer and closer to completion, he didn't show me anything, but he wanted me to help him print an Owen Hart trophy to go with it that he had got designed on Fiverr to really like round it out, because it wasn't just the figure from the match. He wanted it to be from the end of the ceremony to really make it look different, right? So when I saw that and the clean, and you'll know about pink, Reaper, it's one of those colors that it's not easy to get it nice and clear and the right tone. And like, you know, I've had it before where I've painted a figure one and I thought that pink looks exactly what I want it to be. And then by the time I've done the whole tights, I was like, this was not the pink I thought it was.
Yeah, same. Yeah.
You know, so, you know, I just think that figure for me, it was clean. The logos on the shirt were great. The sculpting is great. The whole package was just a perfect delivery, you know.
Oh, yeah.
So I agree with that.
I got actually a couple too. Actually, when you were saying Mac decals, like his Jimmy Hart, he's another one. Like his graphic ability just to make even just bones of about like a Mattel figure and put a new application on, like makes it so much more realistic. Like it's just I mean, he's a pro, man. Like that Jimmy Hart, I think is amazing. And then that Too Sweet Customs did that Drago. So I'm a big Lucha Underground fan. And I've done a couple Dragos. I'm planning on doing more, but like it's just so amazing. Like when anyone else like does a deep cut like a luchador, like CMW. I remember when you repainted those pentagons. Like I haven't I'm a huge Pentamark. Have yet to repaint one of those AEW figures. And you know, I'm like looking forward to it, but I'm also kind of dreading it. But like I just love when like clean paints are applied and it looks like a I like metallics, you know. I like I like
that's what I was gonna say. That green, when I looked at it, I was like, man, it's not just that it's a green, it's the way it pops.
Yes.
It makes you feel like it's Drago, right? Because you see the outfit, it's you're almost bought into it. Like it looks like a real dragon. Like that was
when you think like luchadors, you think of like the textures, like the different silvers here, you know what I mean? Like it kind of reflects light differently. And so when you see an application of like paint like that, where you see some of that shine on the legs, it's like it reads as like a pleathery, shiny material, and it contrasts in from the skin. And I think like that contrast, like having a skin tone look flat and then having like tights look shiny, I think it's awesome hack. And I think it makes figures look so much. It's just like a little nuance that turns it up a notch, you know.
No, so real quick on that Drago, because I talked about it before on the last, I think it was the last episode. But I never heard back about it. Is that a 3D sculpt head? Do you know?
I think so.
Warsman, right?
Oh, is it a Warsman?
Yeah,
I didn't even know that he did that one. Okay.
Yeah, he did a couple years ago. He did a crowdfund series of Lucha Underground ones, but then also I think Forbidden Figurines had made a Drago in the Custom Underground, and she had sold the head for a second, but like that's the Warsman head sculpt.
Yeah. Okay. All right. No, that's good to know. I was just curious. I mean, that was a mind blowing custom. Like totally, absolutely.
But that kind of goes back to what I was saying before about the Malenko, right? It's the little details that help take something from potentially being a very good custom to being a great custom. Like if you'd imagine, even if that was painted in like maybe a light green, like a mint green or something, and it still had the details, and you'd still look at it and think, well, this is a really well executed custom, right? It'd be clean, but the fact that it's that metallic, it makes you look at it even more. Like it's one of those ones that when I was scrolling through, I stopped and saw it, it's like, oh, that is decent.
Right. Yeah. It's like that toyetic, like even when you don't know a character and it like pops out at the page and you have to look, like that's the goal, you know what I mean, for every toy manufacturer, really.
And that was the thing for me. I even said it on the episode. I actually don't know Drago. I've heard of him, but I have never seen a match, and I still very gladly picked that custom because I was like, that just like you said, super toyetic, and nothing better than some toyetic action figures.
No,
as much as I love my Stone Cold Steve Austins and my, I don't know, whoever else, but yeah.
So I've just pulled it up to have a quick look, right? And not to sit here gushing continuously over the Drago, but we've sat here talking about how good the metallic is. But if you go back and look at that custom and look at the head, how good the dry brushing is on the mask, like it's layered up well. It's got some nice colors going through it, and again, it's something that helps elevate it, right? So
yeah, absolutely. And
I'm staring at it too, so that's why I'm speechless.
The I don't know what they're called, the little like spikes that he put on there too. He did the same type of thing on the Ultimo Dragon from the tournament. I don't know if you recall that, Cal. And just such a good job, such a good execution of all of that.
That last one I got a shout out to. Is that Colt? Is it Colt Customs that Liv Morgan? Colt has Customs. Like legit the way he uses that fabric. I know that's an older one, but like I know like just in terms of divas and like how like getting that fabric application to scale, and I know it is an older one, it probably doesn't classify for this week, but like
I'll allow it.
I love that, man. Like I love when you can like use some elements of like real fabric onto the figure and not have it look like it's like this bulky coat or anything, you know.
That's my big beef with soft goods. And it's why I'll always lean towards a sculpted t-shirt and stuff like this. And I mean, you know, like it's just one of those things. Unless it's done really well, and often it isn't, it just looks so thick. And even I've got like a Bret Hart and a leather jacket up there, and I'm like, you're only just getting a pass because I want you in that leather jacket.
You're right.
I don't approve of the way this looks, and it looks like if this was in real life, he'd be wearing a jacket with like thickness of like that much leather, right? So
yeah. It's really an art to get that down to scale. And I mean, that's all I meant. I mean, it's so cool to see, like, that's what I think Mezco, I mean, I'm a Mezco collector too. So like that 112 collection, I like, you know, like the Ghostbusters figures. I love that they have like the working zippers and like everything looked built towards scale. And I think like, that's what makes Mezco's justified, like, of the $90 price tag. Because normally you'd be like $90, man, like what the hell? Like this is literally like one figure. But the cloth really takes it up a notch where you're like, this is like Hot Toys. It's worth it, I guess.
Yeah,
you know
sure.
I only grabbed this one because he was the easiest to get to. I've kind of blocked one of my details off. But I've got the Punisher. I've got quite a few of these Mezcos. And like you say, the cloth is just executed.
Oh, man.
Beautiful. A little bit better.
Yeah.
But here's a question. Would you pay $75 plus for a wrestling figure?
That's what I was just saying. That's what I was like. It's like $90 a figure. So you're like, but if it wasn't without that real sewn fabric, you'd never be able to charge that for a figure. Like it's not...
Imagine this, but with this level of detail, right? Like if we had a proper, and it had like the pleather kind of effect over this, like
it's like a 12 scale Hot Toy, you know what I mean? And like that. And with how toy technology is too, like with that fabric on the Mezcos, you're getting rid of the seams. And so like, you're also fighting the same fight as that, you know, Brian from Super 7 was talking about when he was talking about like hiding joints and stuff. You can choose two different routes to that. You can like build in less articulation, but have it be more mobile, or you can cover up the whole frame. And I think that's what makes Mezco so cool, is that they're so photographical. Like, what's the word? I was going to say photographable. And I know that ain't a word.
Photogenic.
Yeah, photogenic. There you
Yeah,
go.
yeah.
The mask blocks the brainwaves.
That's
But
okay.
yeah, like photogenic. Those figures look so photogenic, man. You can put them in any pose. They look like scaled down life versions.
Yeah. And I think honestly, if they did make wrestling figures, that would be obviously, you know, when you get a price tag like that, you got to pick and choose.
Yeah,
most people
that's
have to
true.
pick and choose.
That's true.
But like Bret Hart, one of my all-time favorites. If they made one of him, even though like arguably that Kane would look way cooler, right? Because like his gear is just awesome. But I don't like Kane the way I like Bret Hart. So I think I would have to like, if they made a Bret Hart, if they made a Penta, who's not one of my all-time favorites, but like he is one of my favorites in AEW right now. And like that type of gear, could you imagine that like dual shine and not shine black gear that he's been wearing?
That would be amazing.
That would be awesome, dude.
Reaper, that's one for you. That wouldn't be that hard to do. If you could print out one of the heads slightly bigger, right? The fact is the outfit would be able to be done by someone who's good at seaming. That would be one of the easier ones to do, because when you think of wrestlers these days, right, most of the difficulty when it comes to transitioning from 6 inches to 12 inches, how you keep that realism. Because if you look at a hot toy, you can tell it's painted a certain way. And the problem is with wrestlers, they don't wear much clothes, right? Most times it's like a pair of trunks. So you often get the seams and stuff. But if you had someone like Penta, you could get one of those seamless bodies that would have all the sleek arms done. You'd be covering up pretty much his whole head. You wouldn't have to worry about trying to paint too much of realism, man. You would just slightly scale up your traditional paint. So, I mean, I'm not trying to put an idea in your head. So you probably...
Dude, you're making me hot over here thinking about that Penta figure. Like, no, I mean, it's true though. Like, the beauty of that, I think, is that the fact, like, in traditional sculpts, you're already seeing that with the more companies, like the boss fight figure. I picked up the new one. Here.
Which one?
So, like, even if you're looking at this guy, like, they replaced the boots and the kick pads, and they look like, I mean, although it's still a little out of scale for an elite, the detail on like the knee pads here, they actually extend up and they have that little flap, whereas the AEW ones are painted. And like just having that little bit more of a flap that like resembles his actual gear, where it kind of like it connects from his kick pad to his knee pad and has that little bit of overhang, it already looks like a better sculpt. And like you can get stitching into the sculpts now, and I think that's what's awesome that Boss Fight's doing, is being able to get some of that stitching inside the details. Because I think as like wrestling fans, we're like, there's a theatricality part to wrestling that we love, but then also like even someone basic like Ric Flair, watching him like lace up his boots, like looks like art, you know, like seeing those laces and how they cross and like how they stretch differently on the boot, and seeing how like the boot you know, at the toes as it wears out, like all those little details are missing from the action figure right now because of, you know, mass production concerns. So like you can have the same boot for every figure and no one really like bats an eye. But if they were to start tweaking these boots and making them even like a little bit fatter laces, a little bit tighter, like Earthquake and Typhoon's boots stick out in my head because I love looking at them as a customizer, because you're like, you know, these are big boys. And so those laces better be under some stretch, and it looks like the leather from the boots, like, you know what I mean? And it adds to the weight of the figure. And I think like the more you can establish like that figure's presence is really where visually it takes off. And that connects to the first part of what we talked about with Dean, you know, having the pants raised a little bit. It adds to the proportions, and like it almost like your eye doesn't have to notice it at first. Your brain clocks it and your brain recognizes it. And then when you study it, you're like, oh, that's the little thing that makes it over the top. That's the little thing. And
I like that you're saying that, because honestly, until you brought it up, Cal, and maybe I did notice it and I just forgot, but I feel like I didn't notice that before. But like also I definitely did notice it.
Right.
I just didn't think
it's
about
subconscious.
It, you know? Like
but isn't that what it is when you make customs? I mean, look, you know, I'm one of those people. I've sat here and pissed and fantasized over trying to get a formula right. I've tried 20 different calves and 20 different thighs and 20 different torsos. And at the end of the day, right, you're trying to get it as close to as possible and be able to trick people into making it look the same. Like another thing that I did with that Dean Malenko was I hollowed out the head to drop it down the neck further. So again, it kept
I
it
do
being
that a lot
more,
too. Yeah.
to concise, because that torso, the Regal one, is actually quite a tall torso. If you hold it next to the Brian one, it's slightly taller.
You're
So
right.
you have to try to get things to work out as much as you can. But
It is so true.
Those boss fight figures, I've got the Hoovy on order that I'm very excited to get.
It's a great figure too.
I don't have any yet, but I just found one at a store. They actually had that whole series, and
nice.
The store I was at, very overpriced, so I didn't end up buying any of them. But it was enjoyable to like really study them in person, and that Taya looks great.
She looks great.
I'm probably gonna need that, the Hoovy as well. I don't know if I'm gonna go with the Lucha Bros just because the AEW ones are just really good. But
have you? I gush over these a lot. Have you got the boss fight? I call them elites. Hoovy, not Hoovy, Penta and Phoenix. Have you got those ones? Are they Fanaticos? You know, the ones with all the extra articulation. The original two they all brought out.
Yeah. They're the full size, or I mean, they're supposed to be 12 scale, but they're a little bit smaller.
Those are two of the best figures. Well,
they really are.
Say that the Phoenix, the Penta disappoints me because of the legs, right? Yeah,
but the weight of this torso. Like this is how you sculpt a wrestling torso, and it's even got nipples. Like, I mean, not like that's a big thing, but like it's one of those things where like if you were to build like a figure like a Mattel, like a Dan O'Brien, he's got no nipples, man.
Yeah.
I didn't want to take over. Please continue, but I had it right here.
And that's
once
right?
nipples comes up, everybody just
You take that torso, right? And again, I know the different price points and I know the different markets, so but that torso compared to the AEW release of they're not even in the same stratosphere for me, right?
They're not. It's honestly, I have it over here, like one of those torsos put on an AEW figure. You're 100% right. Like this Phoenix torso compared to this kind of weight. This is how Phoenix is built. Like Phoenix is like light and he's fast, but he's still got some, weight to him and some depth.
Skinny fat.
Yeah, chunk. I don't know what to say. But like, I love that.
I'm part of it too. That's me.
Too. I love that brawler look though. I mean, like what I love about the Lucha Bros is that they seem like you could make a Street Fighter game with them. They got the wrist tape, like that grittiness, and the tattoos, and like, man, it's
So we'll sidestep something here, right? Because I recently made a Raven custom and I used a different torso, and I got the torso idea from you, Reaper, because you used them for your pentas,
the
right?
old fatter pentas, yeah.
And here's the thing, right? I don't know if you found this. It's such a good torso, but it's a little stumpy.
Yep. Yeah. Because like that Dudley Boy's crotch piece, like Devon, his crotch piece is like sculpted, so it does look like he wears his pants a little higher, and that's what's cool when you look at the way they did Bubba, is they actually had an extra piece on his button up torso to also add that height. And I mean, but you're right, that like lower part of the ab crunch ends up creating a stumpier figure, and that's kind of why like that was super early on in my customizing days, or like the second run or whatever, as I was saying, like 2017 or whatever. But I seen that Devon, and I was like, oh, this is kind of like Penta's shirt. I love the molded. I love the way you used it on Raven. I think it looks better on Raven because that does like look how Raven's shirt was, like
it's the bagginess, right? It's like it's to try and get a bit, and I went for a stage of painting the underarms to just try and give it a look of it. You again just distract the eye, try and create the silhouette you want, right? But that was one I sat there and tinkered with. I kept putting it together, and I don't know if you get this. I'm never really sure on a custom until I probably finish it.
100%.
Even at 1995, I'm looking at this thinking, this ain't gonna come out, and but Yeah, and that was one of them that I was, even when I finished the decals, and that took ages because I wanted to, because it's an odd shaped torso to do decals on as well. I don't know if you found that. It just, again, because of the ruffles and the way it kind of packs in slightly and stuff. So by the time I even finished that, I was like, not sure. But yeah, I mean, that's probably my favorite Raven I've made, but it just kicks me that it's just half an inch too short.
Right. I mean, I mean, when you talked about the Dean Malenko head, like it literally is a equation. And if you can switch out the torsos, you might add a little bit of inches. But if you can drill out a little bit of room in that head, now you're equalizing it. So you can literally put that head on the thicker torso. But if you sink that head down a little bit tighter on the neck, you got it to be the exact same height as the stock Dean Malenko. Like that's the extra little art form of customizing, is to like mess with those scale. And I think that's where we're all like on this continuous quest. And I think that's also what makes customizers probably like a little bit more critical of the the releases that like Bill and the team do, because like we know the differences in those parts, and it's like, well, why aren't you guys using this part? Why are you guys dipping into these parts? Because it doesn't always make sense, you know what I mean, for a figure's build. It is the silhouette.
And it's like some of the time that's happening, it's probably something to do with, well, we have 50,000 of those torsos sitting there already. Like, let's use them. It'll work, and it's just. But who knows?
I'm gonna beef on this because again, I'm just gonna harp onto the Rey Mysterio figures that I have. The latest top pick figure. Now, I'm not gonna sit there and say that the mask is wrong, because again, I'm from Jack's, right? They used the same Rey Mysterio head for every. There was no difference when they used it on the Flash as when they used it on Daredevil. So I could kind of let. But what I will say annoyed me is they used just the standard torso and they just kind of painted the neck. Now, they have like the perfect torso that they made for the WrestleMania figure, right?
That was impressive how you got him out without knocking him all over.
That was impressive. That was really fast too.
That was like, we might have to like slow motion replay that, but go
holding
on.
our breath.
This is the. I sit here on calls all day, like most of the time the camera's on, and I sit there and I'll turn around and I'm like, which one do I want to play? So
I'm the same way, dude.
But look, right, and again, it's just a little thing, but if you know this figure, you know these parts are sculpted here. So it adds, so why not just use this torso that you have at your, like, this is the exact same attire makeup as that Batman figure. And look, I'm pleased I've got that Batman figure. I'm not going to sit there and say, I'll take Rey Mysterio figures. If they're 75% accurate, I'm not going to be complacent, right? They're mass-produced toys, right? I'm happy. I get like 10 a year now and I'm 32. This guy's still going. Like, I'm worried about when he retires, right? But it's little things like that I'm in agreement with you, Joe. I mean, why not just use the best parts that you have at your disposal, right?
No, I agree.
You'll make a burnt fiend, but you won't use the parts you've already got. And you'll still use the Daniel Bryan torso.
And don't even get me started on the Fiend. I don't know. I mean, who knows? Maybe he's still with the company and we'll find that out soon. But like,
I hope so.
To put a lot of effort into, I don't know. It just doesn't make sense to me. I mean, but I'm also not going to pretend to know exactly what's going on, because who knows? Unless you're Bill McKenna or maybe Corporate Steve. But
it's not even about the person, right? It's just I guess I think of long-term game, right? I, as a collector personally, I can't speak to about everyone. I always put things as a personal thing. I know we're all different, but I personally would prefer them to invest that tooling in a new cruiserweight torso that might get released every series.
Exactly, right?
They say it's all about budget stuff. Surely you're going to get more money out of that long-term mold process. They're not going to remake the Burnt Fiend. That mold, the mold's the most expensive parts, right? That's what they always say. It's why we get the same stock torsos. So why not just be a bit smarter and use that? Because surely more people complain about a torso 100%. Than people that go, I want a Burnt Fiend. You had two great Fiends come out, right? You had the original Elite, which was good, and you had the Ultimate. Like, I'd be happy as a pig in shit.
You also could have, I feel like they could have probably got away with a lot of soft goods.
Yeah.
Because the burnt stuff is all torn and like tattered. So like soft goods kind of look torn and tattered when they look nice, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, I don't know. I wanna toss in my last entry for customs of the week if I can. I don't want to cut anybody off, but the Positive Wrestling Fan, who's a very active member, cheap plug of our Facebook group, the Custom Figure Podcast Collective. So this tricked me yesterday with all of the news about that new Brody Lee San Diego Comic-Con exclusive. And then I see this beautiful 2-pack boxed of Okada and Omega from Dominion. And I'm like, wait a minute. Did AEW like just drop a bomb on us? And they're releasing like an amazing 2-pack. I don't even know if they have the rights to do an Okada figure, but with all the Forbidden Door stuff, I didn't know. So honestly, I thought it was a legit factory produced piece until I saw who posted it. And I was like, this son of a gun, he did it himself and it looks amazing. So I had to pick it. Yeah,
I think the king of packaged figures should
100%
give his thoughts on this, because if you're talking packaged figures,
I definitely thank you for that. I don't feel like I am, but what I do like, I mean, it is amazing too that people have the custom figure or the custom chase stickers. But what I love about this, man, is like AEW's packaging does lend itself really well to being like recycled. And I love the fact that Okada like looks like he's actually finally on Kenny's like level, because the Super 7 figures have like this bulkiness that makes them like look really plastic, that when you see this 2-pack, it's exactly what we should be getting. Like we need to have an Okada. That's the scale. But like the thing is like that Kenny like the Kenny head, man, that was one of my favorite Kenny heads. That Kenny hair is such a like to tackle an alternative Kenny sculpt is really is a big taking, because right now we've only got one Kenny hair pretty much in terms of his AEW run. But when he was in Japan and getting his hair done like that, like, man, that's an art form, because you have like the ponytail, then you have the braids, and when you have that kind of like texture on the head, I think it actually like makes Omega finally like stand in his power, so to speak. Because like I honestly don't feel like AEW has made, I mean, there's something, man, I don't want to do this because I love the figures, but Jazzwares like themselves with the weight of their torsos and stuff, there leaves a lot to be desired. Like there's almost like, I love the playability of them, don't get me wrong, like I love the ball joints. I love the way the joints are cut. I love the way the abs are cut. But I really wish they were a little bit thicker, like Boss Fight Studios torsos, because that skinny torso being plugged into the crotch piece, it doesn't look like him. It doesn't help like the Phoenix, or it doesn't help the Kenny, because like those dudes look like beefy, chunkier guys, and Kenny's ripped, but he still looks like, you know, he's a guy that's trying to build up to be a heavyweight. He's not a natural heavyweight.
No,
he has to bulk up to get a heavyweight. And when you have Kenny's figure looking like this thin, you know, he's got the same torso as Phoenix, and I think that that's a travesty.
I agree. I think that they it's kind of on a different side of it, but like their Brian Cage is it's like too soft in a sense. Like he's obviously bulkier than a Phoenix or than an Omega or something like that, but
he
like,
looks more like a Triple H torso than half people Mattel give him. He's like one of those people. He could be a Jax Deluxe Aggression. If Jax put out a figure of Brian Cage, you would put it in with your Mattels and be like, yeah, that fits right.
Exactly. And that's I remember when Mattel transitioned over, you couldn't really use a Jax Rey Mysterio with your Mattels. It wouldn't look right. But you could use a Jax Batista with your Mattels, and it would look okay because he looks like a real life action figure. Yeah, exactly. Right. So like,
you're right though. That Brian Cage, I get exactly what you mean. Like it's sculpted nice, and it's got that it's got that silhouette in mind. But you're right, there is a plumpness that is not filling out the muscles, that's not making them pop, that extra oomph, you know, like that really gives Brian Cage like the stacked look that he should have. He looks big, but he does not look like his muscles have that volume that he does.
He looks like he's been taken 6 months off from the gym.
Yes,
you know what I mean.
He does,
and
though.
like he's still in much better shape than me.
Yeah,
but he just he hasn't been doing the reps that he usually does, you know. And like he really, like, he is one that, like, I would like to see them really, he's like almost cartoony looking.
He
with
is.
like his muscles,
in real life,
you know.
in real life.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah,
like as a compliment.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just I think the only picture I've seen of that figure that has made it look good, I think, was Figure Kingdom doing a picture of him doing push up, I think. And I was like, he looks like, because it's not straight on, like you can see, like it's like this, you know, like that kind of. And it allows your eyes to not focus on the fact that you can't see every vein in his bicep, but you know, it's okay.
I mean, you're actually like, you made me think of something too. Like, I mean, I feel like Mattel's also running into that problem with the Ultimates, because it's like that first Sean Ultimate, it's like an amazing torso. Same with Finn. But now when you're adding the butterfly joints, it's like they're too lazy, so they're going to repaint a Ric Flair torso. And that torso is perfect for Ric Flair. But that torso is not it for
I had
Sean,
this
man.
conversation
You know?
the other week. Like, I had the exact same thing I was saying. So I've not had, I pick and choose the Ultimates, but I'm very fortunate. You know, don't buy many modern guys. And if I've got a good version of someone in an elite, I'm not overly fussed to then go and spend the same money to get an Ultimate of it, right?
Right.
So I've not had to buy one of the Ultimates with the new butterfly torsos for a while, because there's not been one I want. So the first one I bought with the Triple H version of the torso with the is a Batista, and I just don't like that torso. It just looks like Mr. Universe, right? And I get these guys are big, but no one's a triangle to that extent. And it just, you struggle to get like a natural look on it, and they use it for Cena and they use it for The Rock, and then like you say, that the Shawn Michaels, the new gen version, that torso, everyone's like, oh man, it looks amazing, it's the best Shawn Michaels ever. I was like, I look at that and think, oh, that torso is horrific. It makes the head look tiny.
Yeah, me too.
Like, and then it's like, look, we're gonna go into bad things, but the boots are wrong. They're kick pads. He didn't wear boots like this.
I
like
know.
you know, it's one of those things. Then I get it. They're mass produced figures, and you know, to go back, I said 70% a Rey Mysterio figure looks right, I'll buy it. But make it take that original Shawn and Finn torso, put butterflies on that. Great. Take the original Triple H torso, the Attitude Era one. This one is one of my favorite. Like, I think that looks like Triple H. You know?
Does look like Triple H.
Put some butterfly joints in that, and it would look so much better than the.
Do they the Lemmy mustache Triple H, the one that the DX one that came out? I don't have that figure, so I'm not 100% sure. Does that one have butterfly joints, or is it that torso?
Yep.
Oh, it does.
Yeah, it does.
I think he's got butterfly joints, but it's not the same torso though.
Yeah, sure. No, but I mean, I guess what I was gonna say is that torso for me, for that Triple H, perfect. But if you're gonna try to use that on a 2006 chubby Triple H, I'm gonna say no. You can't do that.
But you're gonna say yes to him looking like He-Man, right?
Yeah.
Well, I'm not saying that's good either necessarily, but I'm just And like, I will also say I'm not a huge fan of the butterfly joints. Well, I like butterfly joints, but not the way that they're doing them. That Jeff Hardy, I will never, I'm not going to say never, because maybe I'll need it for something. I don't know. But as of right now, I have no plans on ever buying that Jeff Hardy.
Yeah.
Because is like, he looks like Jeff Batista.
Yeah.
Like, he's huge. Jeff Hardy's never had
and he's never built like that. And And that is the Ric Flair torso. Like they are already reusing that torso way too much. And like a shirted torso or a sculpted one, or even like a Finn one would have been better, because you're right. Like that's actually another instance in which, aside from the double jointed elbows, the elites actually I think look better than the
think so too. Yeah,
I really do, because
I agree with that. I agree with that completely.
The way those soft goods sit on the butterfly joints too, they don't do it any favors. You know what I mean? Like
no, because then you don't even see why the torso's wider. Because you know, like at least when you're looking at it and there's no shirt on, you can see, well, it's wider because of those joints, right? But if you have the shirt on, then it's wider because apparently Jeff Hardy's like deadlifting 800 pounds. So I don't know.
That's where like I really do hope though that they end up like the way that torso is sculpted for Ric Flair. I mean, and I won't go on about this, but like the way they do get the love handles or the muffin top, man, that's most like that. I don't need a wrestler to look idyllic. I don't need a wrestler to look like larger than life. I actually like the figures that look more realistic, and so like that little bit of fat and stuff around the torso I think is actually a much better sculpt. And that's where I'm trying to come at, is like, you know, having some of that fat on there and more asymmetrical kind of sculpts always add to the overall effect, because it doesn't look like someone just sculpted something digitally with the perfect symmetry, you know?
So you're saying you want your action figures to look like humans?
Yeah.
Because I don't know.
I missed this
guilty.
I missed this conversation, but I can tell you right now, right? And I was going to throw this question at you.
Yeah.
We grew up with Jacks, and if you remember the Jacks era, the whole idea with them was to make them look like action figures. If you listen to the whole thing, right, they wanted them to look superhumans. But you know, this is the thing, right? As a kid, you looked at wrestlers. I looked at Triple H, looked at The Rock, and thought, man, these guys literally are masters of the universe, right? But now, obviously, we look at it through a completely different spectrum, right? We look at these things as collectors. So we as collectors look at these figures like the Ray Phoenix and think, yeah, man, I want him to have a little bit of a difference in his torso. I want it to look realistic. Whereas if I'm a kid, I'm like, I want my Ray Phoenix to look like a superhero. I want him to still have the abs. And as much as we do, like as adult collectors, like to think these are for us, and they are more accepted for us. These are still kids' toys, right? I know, Elite. But so it's just interesting, right? Because I'm like you. If you give me let's take Super 7, right? I don't like to moan at Super 7. I bought one. I didn't like it. I didn't like the way the torso looked again. Thought it looked too barrel chested and everything like that. So they've gone the action figure route, but they're what I would call like a designer studio. So I'd expect them to go more of the route like we spoke about, with the more realistic looking torsos and stuff. But it's 6 of one, half dozen of the other. It's whatever you prefer. But at the end of the day, right, if I'm a wrestler, I want myself to look like I'm a Triple H torso.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, if
that's true.
Be on that show,
You know, that makes me think of I was at one of the major podcast live shows last summer, and they revealed the Best Friends and Chris Statlander renders for the first time at that show. Cool. And Chucky T was there, and I got to see his live reaction, which is always so cool. But he goes, oh man, they didn't have to be so realistic on the torso. And he's a guy with my body type where, like, you know, maybe at one point in his life he was in shape, but I honestly kind of think that moment is why he switched to wearing a shirt while he's wrestling now, because he's like, oh damn it, okay.
Oh man,
it's just so I don't know.
I mean, there's something to be said about that though, because if you look at the Hasbros, I think honestly that's what makes them so timeless. Like I loved the fact that those sculpts, like if you look at the Greg Hammer Valentine, they weren't trying to make him look fat, but what they did was make him really one of a kind. You know, like even though they reused parts, he looks like he captures the essence of Greg because he actually has the body shape of Greg.
But
And,
Reaper, that was a different time in wrestling entirely, right? Back
That's
then,
true.
Wrestlers were tough guys, and tough guys didn't necessarily have to be completely chiseled. I mean, you could look at a brawler, and you could, take an Arn Anderson, for example, right? Arn Anderson wasn't exactly chiseled or ripped, but if he slapped you around the side of the head, you'd know about it. So,
yeah,
100%.
Again, it's we grew up in the era of action figures looking big and burly, and that was wrestlers for us. So I'm like you though, right? I love figures, and I like as much kind of diversity in the parts as used. And I tell you, if to try and reel this back into customizing as much as we possibly can. I remember when I started collecting Elite figures, I was like, wow, Mattel have so many parts compared to Jakks. It felt like Jakks just repeated the same parts over and over and over and over. And it was only when I started pulling these torsos apart and stuff like that, I was like, this isn't actually that deep of a parts library. I've just been fooled this whole time.
Yeah, no, it's true. So before we dive too much further into customizing, I do want to take a quick break and hear a word from Total Debacle, because that new Shark Boy is coming out pretty soon.
That looks cool.
Let's take a quick commercial break. All right, guys, it's me, it's JPD. I want to make sure you're heading over to TotalDebacle.com, where you can get the brand new Shark Boy bendable figure. It's going to be pre-order only during Shark Week. And don't forget to use code JPD10 for 10% off. It's a debacle. And we're back. I'm super excited. Shark Week's coming up. Shark Boy, bendable figure. And in case y'all didn't know, yours truly is doing the sculpt for that one. Thank you.
That's awesome. It's beautiful.
I am super excited, and I am actually, after we do this recording, I will be printing out the prototype.
Oh man,
so
that's awesome.
It's going to be very fun, and it's an honor to be working on that. And Garrett from Total Debacle Toys has been a true professional throughout this whole process, giving me such an opportunity. So I want to say thank you to him publicly. I'm excited. I hope you guys check out the figure.
Oh man,
it's gonna be a lot of fun.
I'm so excited for you, bro.
Thank you,
that
buddy.
looks
I really
so
appreciate
cool.
it. I really appreciate it. Yeah,
it's so good to see so many different toys coming up and different companies doing different, because this is the thing, right? I mean, you hear arguments of people going, is there too many people doing X? Is there too many people doing Y? Here's the thing. I wouldn't care if 1 million wrestling figures were released, right? Like, there'll be some I can get, there'll be some I can't get, right? And that's just part of collecting, right? There's always things you want, there's always things you can't get. So, man, any wrestling figures, I want the opportunity to buy them. Like, I don't stick to any lines. Like, we're talking of bendies, right? I never grew up with a love for bendies or anything like that. But I recently picked one up from what we call a car boot, but you guys call flea markets. And it was like £1. I was like, these things are actually quite fun. And I could see like a rabbit hole forming if the right wrestlers were starting to coming out. So like, I'm all down for companies popping up, producing figures. So this is well exciting, Joe.
I mean,
wish you all the best.
Thank you, buddy. But like major bendies, I've been all in on, really. And like, I just received, I actually got the Chase Atom Bomb with mine. And this is based off of, I think it was Bendham Series 2. So they, fun little story. They designed a bendy Atom Bomb, and it had different deco, and then somebody leaked a picture of what Bendham Series 2 was going to look like, and it was going to look like this. So halfway through, they said, we're going to make a chase, and we're going to change the deco to be what it was supposed to look like. So it's kind of cool. So there's two different versions of it now. And I was lucky enough to receive one of the chases, which is cool. But yeah, I love them. They smell great. That's one thing.
Talking of smells, right? I opened some old Jakks figures recently. I got a good deal. Like, I've been going down the R3 rabbit hole Reaper.
Oh,
like,
they look so nice though.
Yeah,
they look nice.
Yeah,
it's the nostalgia. They're not great figures, but you could have made them better if like they had a few tweaks. They would have been. But like, opened them up and I ran up to my other half. I was like, smell this. It's like, I remember as a kid, you go,
yeah,
oh yeah,
better than
for
that
sure.
smell.
Yeah. That's the only drug I've ever done, you know. It's the actual smell.
That's only
So,
something toy collectors understand, but it's true.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's very true.
It's like a comic though as well, right? If you've
Oh,
ever bought
man.
comics, they
Sure.
have there's something about the smell of them as well. And yeah, the little things that just take you back to the place, because that's what collecting is. That's certainly what collecting is for me, right? And I mean, that's why I like the nostalgia figures. It's to try and recapture something that you had at that moment or that child. I mean, that's why I love Attitude Era figures when it's like an exact replica of a BCA or a TTL that you had as a kid. Like that
100%.
what you saw that figure being when you were a kid, right? You didn't see that it had like the parts were wrong or this was wrong. It was like I was looking at a Triple H earlier that I had, and I don't know why it's in one of my boxes that the customizing, like it's this one, and it was not exactly a great figure. But I remember loving this figure as a kid. Like,
Me
Triple
too.
H was angry. He was like, you know, it just.
I still love the hair on that figure. I'll be honest. That's one of the best hairs on a figure.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's not bad. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, I remember. Like, I did feel that way, but also at the same time, especially with BCAs, they never made biker shorts Jarrett without a shirt,
right?
And it pissed me off to no end. He
me
says,
too.
"Don't piss me off." Well, Jax, you pissed me off. So once I learned, like way down the line, how to crack BCA torsos, which are the easiest torsos to crack by any means.
I'm gonna come to you for this because I've been kicking the tires and wanting to do a BCA RVD for. Hang on, what you said about was 98. So since I saw like customizers doing it in 98. That is how long I've wanted to own a BC. I remember, I can't remember the artist. It was on the Wrestling Figs boards, and they would like put the figures on scanners.
Yeah, I remember that
showed
too.
Off their custom,
back in the day.
Oh yeah.
I remember taking a picture of my custom like that too. Actually,
But there was a guy who did, and you could probably still find pictures on Google if you dig deep enough. He did a BCA RVD and tiger stripes, and ever since I was a kid, I'd wanted that custom in my collection. Now I'm at that point where I'm like, I could probably do that if I was just less lazy, you know.
Honestly, Cal, you 100% could do it. I made an RVD a few years ago. I finally learned how to crack the torsos. I just had never tried with those, and I joined, I think it's like Custom BCA Figs on Facebook or something.
Yeah.
And one of the guys on there, Chris Barrow, I believe, posted a little video just saying like, yep, so this is how you do it. And really all you do is you twist. I'll use a Mattel figure to show you. You twist here, you take an X-Acto knife, and you just kind of dig into that a little bit, and then once you have enough room, you use a little either thin screwdriver or something else and pop it right open. And the whole thing, there's such like honestly chintzy little figures that it just like it's like you twist a little and poof, and the whole thing just like breaks apart. And it's pretty good from there, you know. And the arms are wild. They have little screws in them that like just pop right into the place. Like,
wow, I've never cracked a BCA. I mean,
it's interesting. When I learned how to do it, I started just buying lots and lots of them on eBay, and I had literally boxes like right here. I'd be like, all right, who am I gonna make today? And I made like everybody I ever wanted out of a BCA.
That's cool. That would be fun.
Yeah, and you also don't have to spend as much time. I mean, you certainly could spend a ton of time and have a beautiful piece, but they weren't the most detailed figures. So you can take a little liberties. Like, I'm pretty sure I didn't paint the back of my RVD's torso.
We talk about this, right? So my thing of this, I made a Ruthless Aggression Sean O'Hare figure once.
Okay.
And my thing with it, I wanted to make it, because, you know, I do little things. I do a bit of shading and stuff like that, like you say, to try and it. But I wanted to make it to Jax. I wanted it to look like Jax. I wanted it to be if Jax were to release this Sean O'Hare, what parts would they potentially use? And my thing was, I didn't put a design on the back of it either, because there was no way in hell Jax were going to put anything on the back of that figure, right?
Yeah.
Or we would have got a nice, glorious looking prototype. It would have had all its nice
Yeah,
logos. It would have
yeah.
had all the tattoos, and then it would have turned up with no knee pads, no elbow pads, and just looking shoddy.
It's crazy though,
Yeah.
because as like one of the first things that Joe said about the Jeff Jarrett, like I remember feeling the same way because I'm a Jeff Jarrett fan too,
Mhm.
and he was in WCW, and it's like, why is he not made without the shirt? But when
Yeah.
you actually look at like the biker shorts mold that they use for Jeff, like
Yeah.
those are actually really fun toyetic molds that
Yeah,
Jeff's had in the
100%.
BCA line. They
Yeah.
have a quality to them that look.
I mean, yeah, I
cool.
mean, look at Flash Funk.
Yeah.
Like, that head to toe is a unique figure. And
Yeah.
it's like the paint, especially for the time. Or look at the Triple H with the purple metallic.
Yes.
It hasn't been done right since.
No,
Like,
you're 100% right.
But Mattel just don't like using metallic paint anymore. Like,
Yeah.
that's a thing.
Yeah.
It's like the Rey Mysterio SummerSlam. It's meant to be silver, not white.
yeah.
Like,
Well, I mean,
why
that's even
not?
the problem though, is like I think that's why Jeremy is such a legend, because if
Yeah.
you look at that figure, man, that purple, like they have the taller boots, they have the right purple, like it's
Mhm.
they actually made a more accurate Triple H in the form of a BCA
Yes.
than has ever been done by the Deluxe Aggression or by any Mattel.
Yeah,
like,
because they did
thinking
make
about
that.
it.
I forgot they made that in Deluxe Aggression, and it still wasn't even
Right.
close. And they made it as a basic early on in Mattel, and it
Yeah.
was even worse than the more recent release. So it's
Speaking of this figure though, this
Weird.
Jeff Jarrett,
Yeah.
man.
This is
Yeah.
right. So we're talking about Jeff Jarrett. I had two Jeff Jarrett figures growing up when I was a kid. I had the BCA Series 6 one, and it was obviously quite a lot after he had already changed to this. So
Yeah.
I never really used it. And then I remember this one because again I was a WCW fan, and I remember these glasses, and I was blown away as a kid. I was like, they come with nearly done it again, and I lost them the first day I got them. So
Yeah. Yeah.
this to me is my favorite.
That's
Jeff
ahead
Jarrett
of its
childhood
time.
figure.
Man,
Yeah.
Toy
Yeah.
Biz was ahead of their time. It's
For sure.
I love those
Yeah.
figures. I love. We had a hard time, at least where I'm at in the States. I never seen that blue one, like that last series.
Here in the UK, they were really easy to get because like
Yeah, you guys got
even
lucky.
even now, right? People are like, they talk about the Shane Douglas and the Mike Awesome
Yeah.
and those figures,
Yeah.
like, and they're quite hard to get your way. But over here,
Super hard.
I can pick them up for probably £5, which is probably $7.
We got to
Yeah,
start an
yeah.
operation. Let's
I know,
start farming
seriously,
these
let's
franchise
figure it
figures,
out.
man. That's
Yeah.
that's a beautiful figure.
It is.
Yeah,
It is.
and I think it was weird because we had a shop over here called Woolworths, and it was like one of those
Yep.
kind of, it's a bit like your Target, I think.
We used to
right?
have
We
it
had-
for a minute in the 90s, in the 80s and
Yeah.
90s.
Yeah.
We had it
Right.
for a minute.
and it was like it was where I would go to get my toys. I didn't have a Toys R Us near, and Woolworths you'd normally only get one delivery of a set. So you'd know if you went to the shop and they had that set, if that one you were looking for wasn't there, that's it. You've missed your chance. And I had a couple of them around me, so they would get deliveries at different days and stuff. So
Yeah.
that's where I got all of my WCW figures from. I
Oh,
remember
man,
being a
that's
kid
nice.
and going in there and getting the Perry Saturn. I remember going in there the first time I saw that, and my mind was blown. I could get a Perry Saturn and a Buff Bagwell figure in the same series, and like, I'm all about the mid-carders when I
Me
was
too.
growing up.
Me too. WCW
Well,
mid card is my
yeah.
WCW had such a good mid card.
Oh
too,
man,
'cause,
I
like,
love it.
Yeah,
its main
You look
eventers were good, but they were all, for the most part, old WWF guys, you know? So,
Right. I loved Sting, right? Sting was
Yeah.
my guy.
I love
like,
Sting too,
ooh,
yeah.
love Sting.
Mhm.
But you know, I loved seeing about Raven and the Flock and
Yeah,
Billy
yeah,
Kidman
the Flock
and the
was
Lucha,
awesome.
because I think I spoke to Joe about this when Joe and I first spoke. But because I was quite young in 96, 97 when I was on W, I was 6'7", same as you, Reaper,
Same,
right?
yeah, same.
And
You damn
WCW was on
kids.
late over here in the UK on a Friday. So most of the time, I'd only really catch the first hour and a half of this before
Yeah.
I'd fall
Right,
asleep. So I'd
yeah.
have maybe a promo of the big guys. So I was like,
Yeah.
but I'd never watched the match. So I was Disco Inferno,
Yeah,
Ram,
yeah.
like all those guys.
Yep.
Oh man.
And
It's like
that's the-
like-minded souls, bro. Like, because
Yeah.
that's the exact same way. Like I'd look at guys like Flair when I was little and be like, oh man, I'm not interested at all. When I grow
Yeah.
older, I
Sure.
love Ric Flair. I respect
Yeah.
his work. But like as a kid, for sure, the mid card was where it was at for me.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like you look at the customs I've made, like my favorite ones I was making, because I started doing customs because I wanted to make figures that I want to make. Right, I never thought I'd be as good as I am doing this over such a short period of time. I was very lucky to, and I remember like I just wanted to be able to make a good Raven, for example, and I wanted a passable Vampiro, and I wanted a passable Rick Steiner, and like these aren't like but these are guys for me that I grew up and really enjoyed, and know the likelihood of me getting a figure of these in the elite style is slim. Now we've got like Cello putting out Sabu and stuff, that getting that style figure kind of widens out a bit more, but you know that's one of the things I loved, why I got into customizing, because I wanted to fill those mid-carder gaps, and the list of ones I want to still make is just, you know, I want to do a Canyon, a Buff Bagwell I want to do on my list. I've still got a Disco Inferno I need to knock out. You know, then you get into La Parkas, the Psychosis, and even a Cyclope I want to do, you know, so.
I got a secret La Parka project I've been working on. I can't wait. I mean, that's where I'm
excited for that.
Man, I love that though, because that's exactly how I feel. I mean, you touch on something that they teach in like film school too. It's like, not that I know shit about film school, but other than like, you know what I mean, what I've listened to is like, make the movie you want, make the figure you want, like that energy and that passion translates to the end product, and you feel it. Like even when Bill makes one, dude, you can tell when Bill makes an expired figure, because he can make a badass figure. I mean, I'm not trying to shit on him at all.
He finds the, you know, 30 cents brush strokes where he wants to find them, right? He doesn't.
Like Oscars are actually badass, which is why probably the Major Bros rip on him. But like the Oscar figures are really done well. Like she doesn't have a bad figure.
I mean, not at all. She's super toyetic. I remember when she was coming into WWE or into NXT at the time, and she got her first figure. I was not watching the current product at all, and I didn't even know who she was. And I saw the figure, I think at a Walgreens, and I was like, I'm buying this.
Yeah.
And I bought it without having, and now I'm a big Asuka fan. I think she's great.
She's amazing.
But like that says something about the figure, that because, I mean, granted, I am a wrestling fan, so it didn't like totally knock down a barrier, but I bought a figure of somebody that I didn't even know who she was, just because of how good the figure looked. So it was cool.
You know, exactly, mate, the whole thing of Joe, you do it, Reaper, you probably do it, right? When you make a custom for yourself, you want it to look exactly how you want that figure to look in your head, right? And how I want it to look might look different to how you want it to look, and it might look different to how Joe wants to look. And that's the beauty of customizing. There's no real right or wrong when it comes to doing this, 100%. Right? Because it's down to what you want to do. And that's something that, you know, people who speak to me, and, you know, I love chatting to people about customs. They're like, well, what would you use for this? I was like, well, I'd use this, but why don't you see what you want to use? Because you may find a complete different route. And just because that's the map I use to do it, doesn't mean that that's the end of this journey, or that's how it has to be done. It's about finding what works for you. I mean, I remember when I first started, your videos were what I watched on YouTube to learn how to crack a torso.
Oh man, thank you.
I learned how to use I remember you used a Devon in that video as well.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And then I went so I watched your video on YouTube, and I'd been making customs. I painted that Penta and I painted a Phoenix, and by the third time I was like, I want to crack a torso now. And I took 2 Rey Mysterio figures off my display. I took this one and I took this one, and the outcome was going to be this.
Oh man,
and
that is perfect too.
That looks
and I
great.
remember sitting there looking at your videos, and my other half, like, she's a bit like me. If I'm going to do something, it's going to happen. I don't need to practice 20 times. Let's just see what happens on the outcome of doing these. If this goes wrong, I'll just have to replace them, and it'll be lessons learned. I went down to the shop down the road, got a box cutter, got 2 screwdrivers, and went to town. And that was the first time. So I watched your video, and then like, so what I'm kind of getting at here is, there's loads of good videos. You know, I'd love to be able to set up videos, but as we've seen from the beginning of this call, my technical ability is slim to none. So
I think you're doing pretty good. You changed your name really fast.
I'll get a gold star. But this is the thing. This is why I quite enjoy it. You know, to try and bring this back round to everything. Is conversations like this, because there's so many things that Reaper will probably say that we don't realize we've just said something in conversation that someone will latch on to and go, holy shit, that changes everything about how I was struggling on this part or doing something like this. But yeah, that was ramblings of a madman. I don't really know.
But that's why I did mean to put you over though. I mean it, like, because like the figures that you have done, how fast I immediately, as soon as I seen that Penta, I was like, this dude is talented as hell. And it in the spectrum, like, right, like I had some trash cans starting out, even getting back into this, like my even my early Pentagons, like just being acquainted with the elites. I had a curve, and then looking at you, bro, like you literally had a very fast learning curve, and it took you very fast to make great looking figures. And I remember seeing that, I'm like, I like you, like honestly, and in the most humble way, the reason why I haven't painted a Penta yet was because as soon as I seen yours, I was like, that looks perfect. I don't know if I need to do it. I don't know if I can do it like that, to be honest.
But this is it, right? And this goes back to why. The reason why my figures look good is because I want it to look as close to that person as possible, right? Within the points I can. So, and this is why I love learning new things. Like one thing that for me that I really want to learn, and I'm just being lazy, is just to sculpt better, be able to do that a little bit more, because again, I think that helps elevate your next level. And it's funny, I was talking to my other half before I joined here, because I've shown your page to her before, because I was like, look, this is, it's great. You. And for me, it's the packaging figures you do, and I've wanted to do a run of Ravens like that, 5 to 6 Ravens from, it's ECW. You could even do Johnny Polo if you want to go back and do it, but you know what I mean, like to have it like that. And
me too,
that's the inspiration, is to try and get to like the Owen, because when you see that as a project, right, that is a project, that is art. Those pieces, everyone talked about them, and so that to me would be the next level of what I want to be able to some nice Ravens, get the cards, because they're fun, right? Like you probably.
And I do want you to do a Johnny Ravens. Polo now, though. I mean, that would be kind of cool.
I think Warsman has a head, right? Someone's got a head of Johnny Polo.
I think he might. Yeah.
It's like we talk about projects and things. I've been kicking the tires on a Fat Raven project, and I call it Fat Raven because I mean TNA Raven, because
I love TNA Ravens though, dude. I'm such a Raven mark.
You won't be able to see it, but I've managed to cast. Well, it's not
That's
cast,
beautiful.
The TNA head in a smaller size.
Yeah.
But I just can't seem to get
because that was a big
right.
head. Yeah.
Right. And I've sat there and I've tried, and this is the thing, right, with customs. Just because you start something doesn't mean you have to get it finished now. I think I've tried about 4 different torsos, and I've tried and eventually what happened is you'll just click onto something. I mean, I don't know about you boys, but I've got 10-20 projects sat around here that will eventually.
Me too.
Bags
labeled
a pile right here. Yeah. I'm excited for that La Parka, man.
Oh, I should show you guys, cool. Man. I'm the same way though. Like especially right on there. Like with La Parka, I was like, oh, Cactus Jack. This will be a really good base. Yeah. And then I discovered the Kevin Owens that had the black mold, and I was like, this dude is like a black elite, and he sculpted like La Parka. I was like, or ultimate, because that Kevin Owens actually has like an ultimate style torso.
Well, that's the same as the one I've tried for the Raven. And again, it goes back to the point of soft versus sculpted goods, right?
Yeah.
I'm a sucker. Raven mostly wore his shirt tucked in until, might have come out later in the match. It might have fallen out slightly. But to me, I remember it was always jeans were tucked in, his shirt hung over and stuff like that. Fat Raven wore his shirt out.
Yep.
I've tried the rubber shirts. I've tried the fabric shirts. I've had 3 different people send me shirts. I just can't seem to find one where it, like, for me, hits man. Because the rest of it, like, I've got it down. I've got the boots down. I've got the knee brace. How he wore the knee brace coming out as well. Like, in my head, this figure looks the nuts, but I just can't.
And the obvious one for me is like a Kevin Owens shirt going over. It doesn't work.
I think it just looks a bit too, because
it's a little too Potbelly-ish.
Yeah,
it's a little too Potbelly-ish.
Yeah,
that is it.
Yeah,
and if you could find one like the Greg the Hammer, or no, Honky Tonk, if you could find like the fat rib torso, but if they would have made it even just a smidge less big, that is like the Raven, because like Raven really has, I mean, I call it like the HGH gut, like, you can kind of have like
Yeah.
You know, muscles, but like fat, and
Yeah.
like that's kind of like fat muscle.
Mhm.
And so like that torso is one of my favorite ones, like that they use for honky. But like they like it is like really only two sizes. Like they are very limited by their crotch pieces, because it's like either you have one that can fit on the Daniel Bryan size crotch, or the next one then is going to be fitting on to like the wide, you know, honky tonk and cactus crotch. But like that's where like if you look at the mean Marcalises, man, I've been scooping them up over here.
Oh,
Like
dude,
crazy.
I just picked up 3 for $5 each.
$5.99. Yeah.
Oh man.
So that's not fair to talk about stuff.
I know.
I
feel
No,
that.
no.
I genuinely feel sympathy for you guys though. Without the Targets over there, UK, without the legends, it's like, man.
See, I'm very lucky, right, compared to most. And I just missed a message on here, but I have a friend in the US who you won't see what it is, but he's just sent me the new Legends X pack.
Oh,
So he
man,
scoops them
nice.
up for me, and he
awesome.
holds them. So I'm lucky, but most people over here, we pay probably 45 to 50 pounds a Legend, and that's probably about $65, right? So to him, I say the same. If you see it on the discount, let me know. I'll need them for parts. I need them for parts. So it's like one of the other ones I really wanted that you guys were kicking out for cheap was the Hurricane, because it's perfect for this era of Hurricane.
Yeah.
And I had one of these spare heads kicking about that I painted. But next, I've got another one. I want to do the topless one as well from the last part. But I never got around to grabbing another one. But yeah, they were like $5 over your way, right?
I got that Hurricane real cheap too. I only found one, but the other day I went to a Target I normally don't go to, just because I was meeting a friend from work for dinner, and I walk in and I see 3 Marcalises just sitting there, nobody else from that series, and I was like,
wow.
They didn't have the sticker on them, and I was like, oh, that's probably why this Target never put them on clearance. And I scan it, sure enough, $5.
Oh man,
the double jointed arms, the torso, and that plain black vest is worth it right there.
Oh,
like,
dude, I remember like I've been doing this like long enough with the elites now that I remember really paying an arm and a leg. Like I remember when Toys R Us was closing, I went and bought a bunch of those Kane dentist ones, the Isaac
Yankum.
And I remember because I'm a Brody guy. I'm trying to make some more Brodies too. And like that torso is like money for that.
Sure.
And I remember like paying so much because it was only Brody King and the Isaac Yankum that had that. And it's to me, it's one of the best done Mattel torsos because it has that beef, it has that thickness, and like Mattel's sneaky with they do have that crotch piece like on Hogan that has a little bit extra edge length up there for those torsos on those bigger guys that really makes it a great figure. And so now like that's where I'm like, oh, I can finally make my Brody Kings, but it's like cringy because like I've paid like $20-$30 just to get one of those torsos before in the past. So
you talk about that Hogan, that is one of the biggest disappointments for me as a figure collector was that Hogan coming back, the Hulk Returns Hogan, and the torso being a Cesaro torso, and then to find out they used that on the exclusive, the WCW exclusive, like that's a lazy exclusive to paint stuff on it.
Frustrating.
And people again are like, that's the best Hogan ever. I was like, man,
I know.
Open your eyes.
Those aren't customizers. No,
you can tell the difference for sure. I don't know.
I love that new Hogan sculpt though. I don't want to go on a tangent.
No, sure. So what are you guys I'm sorry, Cal, did I cut you off?
No, I was going to talk about the Hogan sculpt, but we'll
I mean, we can if you want to. I was gonna say I don't want to keep you guys all day, but what are you guys working on currently? Anything new and exciting?
My time is obviously enjoyably used a lot of Cella stuff at this point in time. So I mean,
I have pretty much all of your stuff on pre-order right now, and I can't wait. I'm so excited.
This thing for me, I really enjoyed doing that part, but I do miss getting to do customs of my own. So for me, the two customs I've currently got on the go is that Raven I've been talking to you guys to try and get that sorted. And there was Johnny the Bull Stamboli I'm currently working on as well for talking about deep cuts into WCW and things like that. So that's my bench.
I'm gonna try not to look super crazy here. I'm gonna go grab some things here real quick.
Oh, no, do it. Yeah, I'm excited.
I like his. They're the what's it called? The Rey Mysterio pants from Thingamabob.
Is it Shockline?
No,
Or...
I've got chalk. Roots. Reaper. They're the
okay.
Roots Rey Mysterio.
Oh yeah, the
trousers,
Roots of
right?
Fight sweatpants, dude. I love these.
Yeah.
Are we
cool.
showing off what we've gone for on the lower half?
Yeah.
We've gone for
Hey.
some.
You guys have much better wardrobe than me. I have my what I call my painting shorts on that have still paint all over, so you don't even need to see those.
But
I'm well down the rabbit hole of chalk line shorts. Like they're my latest hype, and I just can't stop buying them.
Me too.
So.
I have way too many that I haven't even opened yet, like the RVD Tiger Stripe ones.
I've just bought them
RVD
today,
mark, man.
I had the Eddie Guerrero ones, the Rey Mysterio ones, and some Bret Hart ones come the other day. And Reaper, I live in a country where there's sun for about 2 weeks of the year, so
It's okay. I live in North Dakota, so it's like the winter, most of the months. So
yeah, you guys get a dusting of snow and it's like 9 feet, right?
Yeah, we'll wear at least like we're weird enough here to where we'll wear shorts in the snow. Like we're kind of like,
fair enough.
We get tired of the snow, so we'll wear shorts. But no, I mean, on Chella's note, dude, I'm really excited for all those figures. That's why, like, I do actually have Sabu's in the works that I've been chugging along slowly, and Hayabusas, because I grew up. Hayabusa's my all-time favorite. I got this Lichell one right here in front of me.
Nice.
I'm a Hayabusa mark, so I'm really excited to get an officially licensed one. That's kind of like my next big project. I had teamed up with Wrestle Arcade over there in the UK. He's an amazing artist. I'm excited for his lines that he's been doing. But like, I just love the aesthetic. So like, he actually designed my cards, because like one of the things that is tough about making the packaged figures is like, I do run out of steam towards the end, where I'm like, oh man, I got to assemble this package. But then, I get that satisfaction when the final piece is complete. And so, I'm really excited.
Money drops on eBay, right? Because it's not like those ones doing
I mean, that's what sucks. Like, I wish I could have a path towards that, like making them that really like ends up like enjoying the last process. And really what it kind of turns into right now is like, I'm really good at getting the figures to the final part, and then the packaging process, I have to like take a deep breath and re-energize, because it's like that whole carding process, recycling the bubble, blisters. And then the way I actually make these cards have become a laborious process. But I'm super happy with them now, because like I got, nice solid cardboard.
I know you spoke to Adam 3XR, didn't you? Because I speak to him a lot, and he helps me with a lot of graphic stuff, and we talk about packaging. It was actually him and I that spoke about the Raven idea. And he was telling me about your cards. So those cards are known from there to here.
I'm so excited to show those, because he like did this beautiful watercolor. I got an FMW series planned, right? So I got Hayabusa, Hakushi or Jinsei Shinsaki,
Onita,
I like that,
and Onita. And so like I've also got my different gears ready. So I got a Hakushi version, and then I got the Jinsei Shinzaki version, and then I got like a version planned where he's got his whole entrance gear with the Raiden hat and the staff. So like,
that's awesome.
I've got all those guys prototype ready to go. I was just gonna show some ones that I was like about finished. Like this is a one for Chick Foley that I'm still working on. But like this Jushin Liger was so hard to get his proportions right, because like if you're hardcore into it, that Tyson Kidd's shin guards actually are like the smallest shin guards, because his pegs go the deepest in onto the top piece of those.
Same on the Hurricane,
right?
Because it's the two plugs, it gives it a tiny bit shorter, so it brings it down, whereas the kick pads normally quite
and so like that's where I was able to use like the smaller Daniel Bryan thighs, and then I got his proportion right, so I was pretty happy about that.
That's looking amazing.
Thank you. I'm really excited, because I was able to use a lot of the Storm pieces too, because I was going to eat up a Storm figure for the head scan, because I love that. I love the Storm head scan.
That I look forward to seeing how that comes. I have the original Storm up there. I've wanted to sorry to jump in, but talking about painting different customs, I've wanted to paint the classic superstars, Jax, Rey Mysterio, the one in the white with the blue triangles. I wanted to that in the black and red version like this, because it scales better with that Storm figure, and obviously that would be the set from the WCW match. So just side check that. I was talking about Liger's. Cool. That's one of the pipeline customs that'll be coming 2028.
Picture I still need to hang up on my wall back there is the I mean, those are my favorite legends. But then talking about Raven, I hadn't shown this. I haven't even posted a picture of this, so I thought it'd be cool to go do a little exclusive here. But since we went deep on this episode, I've been working on the ultimate ECW Raven San Francisco toy makers with the with his shirt tucked in, with the tattoos, sculpted elbow pads, wrist tape. And so I'm really excited on this guy. He's gonna be done soon. But because I was mad that they never released the Raven that I wanted.
Yeah, of course.
Like that they had his kilt or his shirt at the time on there. And I love that figure. But this is the ECW Raven that I fell in love with,
You're gonna make me very jealous when that gets posted, because if we're talking about Raven again, like I have looked at this figure and constantly wanted to update it with proper elbow pads. I've got sheets of tape. I've wanted to do a TTL. Remember the old Ruthless Aggression Devon torso that again it looks like Raven that they were meant to use on the TNA. I want to use one of those. So look, I can't.
That's why I thought it'd be a perfect exclusive. I was like, I gotta grab this because I've never shown off this figure, and he's a work in progress. But like, he's got one looking
really, really good.
I think this was Jordan's. Head? I think this was Jordan's head sculpt that like X14 or 14. One of the first ones that he did, because like my favorite one for the elites, I will say, is like Hederation's new sculpts are amazing. But this one kind of had a little bit more of a when I seen the way the sculpt was, I mean, Raven's got that puffier face, but it screamed original San Francisco toy makers to me. And so I was like, I gotta do this. Plus that I did find that Indian choker necklace from the TNA one is removable. So like I use that to block up and build the neck, so because his neck, look at this. I actually got it to actually turn.
No way.
This is a functioning OFST head now.
Does the action still work?
I was curious. Wow, look at this. Very impressive. Very, very impressive. That's awesome, dude.
This made me hungry for Raven figures all over again. So I'm excited.
Yeah,
well, look,
that's great.
For me, just you guys may be able to continue, but on that note, Reaper, thank you very much for showing me.
I think we'll all wrap up. So I just want to say, big thank you to both of you guys. This will not be the last time that maybe this triple threat match needs a rematch, but
I'm down.
For sure, you guys will both be on here again.
I want to play a game if we do come back here again. Now,
absolutely.
You two have obviously tinkered with different toy line customs, but seeing as you, Reaper, and I grew up in the BCA era and Joe's made them, if we get around to doing this maybe in a month or two's time, I reckon I don't know what your timelines are like, but we go away, we make these BCAs and we come back and we unveil some BCAs and we just have a chat about those. And
I love it, man.
I was thinking the same thing as we were talking about that.
We'll keep our little group chat going, and in however many weeks or months or whatever, let's just do a BCA special. And I'll go out, I'll get all my customs, I'll bring them back in, we'll look at everything. It'll be really cool. That'll be a ton of fun.
Thank you guys.
So real quick before you guys go, just plug yourself, Cal. I know you got to get going. Give yourself a quick little plug.
My plug is CMW.Toys. I'm on Instagram. I think you might find me on Twitter, but there's about 5 people that follow me. I'm Callum Fitzpatrick on Facebook. I'm on all the customizing groups. That's my jam. I do have some heads and some small accessories available at cmwtoys.co.uk.
Nice.
It's not awesome. It's not a massive thing. It's not there. Basically, it's stuff that I get made that if people want to try and recoup some of the cost, it just goes on there.
That's great.
Stuff like that. That's so cool. There's a plug.
There you go. I love it. I love plugs. Reaper,
And I'm
you're up.
at the Mad Reaper on Instagram, the
There you
best
go.
place. That's pretty much where I'm at. So
Yep. And
YouTube for those videos.
yeah, and YouTube.
that's
I
true.
do need to take more time on YouTube, but I do want to step it up again.
You got Figure Giant as well.
Yeah, at
So,
figuregiant.com. Yeah, we're trying to get back into some headcasts. So
I keep saying that I need to start something like Figure Giant because I have about 50 pairs of these JBL legs that I just need to clear out of my bottom bin, and hopefully
those are money too.
Yeah, really.
Matt, if you need them to hit me up, I've got about 10 pairs I've got no use for. So.
I like those.
I'm actually thinking about it because I that could work for some smoking guns, huh?
Yeah.
I need to make a couple. I got the heads painted, ready to go. So
my DMs are open. Slide on in and buy some JBL legs.
Maybe I'll trade you a Mark Calloway for him. We'll see.
I'm in.
You know,
that's a good idea.
There you go. All right, and then me, JPD Customs on Instagram, whatnot, YouTube, all that stuff, and just subscribe to the podcast, guys. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you guys for being here. This has been a blast.
See you guys. Man,
thanks, guys.
Yeah. All right. Have a good one, guys. Yeah,
Bye.
absolutely.
Bye.
All right. And take it away, Homer J.
And that's the end of that chapter.